You wrote an article, Truth or Fiction. One of the points in it, the Browns have let Deshaun Watson down the last 2 weeks. Truth or fiction?
I think that's true. That to me is a fact. I think even you look at like take Pro Football Focus grades with a grain of salt, but Watson was in the 80s this week for PFF grade. There were a lot of people saying Deshaun Watson actually had a good week of football. People that pay attention to this stuff, and I think that's true. Because again, we've talked about it twice, that interception he had. That's right on the chest of Amari Cooper. And you expect him to make that catch 99 times out of 100, and then we're not talking about Deshaun Watson having another turnover in that game. We're talking about just two interceptions on the season as opposed to three. Going back to the Giants game, that Cedric Tillman drop on fourth down that hits him right between the 1 and the 9 in the chest. He makes that catch. They keep that drive going, and who knows how that game turns out. And again, we talked about the defensive issues stopping the Raiders and what I again was a historically poor running game coming into that. The issues they've had tackling, the issues the Browns have had protecting Deshaun Watson, all those sorts of things. There's just been a lot of things going on that really, in some cases, haven't allowed Watson at times to have a chance of success. I look at the first half of the Giants game. He had no chance because of just they couldn't protect him. They couldn't run. They weren't running the football, and the coaches weren't calling plays to get the ball out of his hands quickly, to run a screen, do different things to try and mitigate the pass rush. So in some ways, yeah, Watson needs to continue to play better, but again, when you have big plays and opportunities for big plays, you have to make them. You can't have drops in those situations when you simply need a catch. You can't have a holding penalty when Watson makes an incredible play to get open, to get out of trouble and throw an 82-yard touchdown pass to a wide open Amari Cooper. Those are things that just can't happen. And also the missed extra point by Dustin Hopkins. If he makes that extra point, we're not even talking about 4th and 3 because Dustin Hopkins would just make that field goal. And then all of a sudden, maybe that game goes to overtime. So it's just a lot of things that have happened around Deshaun Watson that have not gone well. It's just been a series of, like, to borrow the title of that children's book series, it's been a series of unfortunate events. Yeah, Watson's got to be better, but bottom line, everyone else has to be. That's a big reason why they're 1-3. Nobody's been good enough consistently.
Yeah, the criticism that I think is valid of Deshaun Watson the last 2 weeks, he had the ball in his hand at the end of the game and was unable to make the play to win the game. And you and I have talked, and I've said this, ball in your hand, end of the game, find a way to win the game. That makes you an elite quarterback. He hasn't done that the last 2 weeks. And I mean, there's been reasons, but you got to do that, and you got to win football games when they're there at the end of the game.